Hi, everyone. So I'm Jason. We're GT20 this year. And with me is Stephanie. She's on GT20 Committee with me, Kevin and Andrew. So they're the leaders of the working team that we have called Leadership Formation, which is something new that we're doing this year. And we thought we'd just kind of pull together this video to kind of promo it, really to let you guys know what this Leadership Formation team is about. Just because it's new, and I think it's really interesting for us to share with the GT community. I mean, we've had so much years of history. It'd be really cool for you guys to hear about this new direction. So, Kevin, Andrew, what is the Leadership Formation team?
Yeah, so definitely one of the big reasons why we started heading in this direction was we took a look from your lead, Jason, from last year. So we know for those of you who were around for last year for GT19, we had the group leaders formation team, or the group leader team, where we aim to really form our group leaders, get them ready for the weekend, right? Put a little bit more emphasis on that. So taking a look at that and taking that on this year, what we took a look at was how can we broaden the scope here? How can we build on the foundation that you built for us, right? And what we realized is that all Christians are called to be leaders in some way or other when we were kind of brainstorming how do we want to go about this. Once we realized that, we wanted to open up the doors as much as we could, increase that focus on formation for all of GT as a community, and really open up our way to be building better Christian leaders, whether that's as a group leader or otherwise. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think adding on to that, it's about figuring out how we're called to be leaders in everyday life. I think that's what we're really excited about here at GT. Being able to journey with people and understand that even though everyone has different charisms, different ways to lead, it's bringing that out of them and figuring out like what type of leader we are so that we can actually apply that in our everyday lives outside of just being a group leader.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, the first thing I'm hearing is, so I think what most of our, watchers, they're used to this whole concept of group leaders. So what's the difference between what we're used to in terms of group leaders versus this whole leadership formation team?
Yeah, I think at the core of it is whether we're looking at building our skills specifically for one project or being a group leader, or we're looking for skills that are going to apply more broadly across our lives, right? And that's where we draw from, is because we realized that all Christians are called to be leaders in some way or other. Mm-hmm. I mentioned that earlier, right? And so when we realized that brought the question, what does it mean to be Christian? And what does it mean for each of us individually, right? We took a look at that. We think about all the times we hear about people saying, I really took my faith into my own hands, or I really finally found a personal relationship with Christ. And we started trying to deep dive into what does that mean. And what we landed on was two words that seem really big, but we started to try to unpack is charisms and spiritualities, okay. Right? And in the sense that how do you connect with your faith and how do you connect in your relationship with Christ, right?
So charisms and spiritualities, tell me more about what those are.
Yeah, so I think one way that you can take a look at that is how do you connect with your faith, right? Okay. I mentioned earlier. Yep. So for some people, this might be through growing in acts of service to the poor, right? So Mother Teresa is an excellent example of this, and it's clear that she really grew in her faith because she was able to serve the poor in her community, right? For other people, for those of you who came to GT19, we really studied Ignatian spirituality, and this was talking about looking internally at the movements of my soul and understanding what's drawing me one way or the other and growing closer to Christ in that way. Mm-hmm. And these are just two examples of ways that we can take a look at, gifts that we have, whether that be through how we talk to other people and how we bring others closer to Christ, or other ways that we connect with our faith, and trying to really bring those out.
So last year, when we did the group leader team, I remember a lot of it was pretty structured. Just the first half was like all about how to be a group leader, and then like the second half was like trying to bring in the Ignatian spirituality stuff. Like, how do you guys envision your meetings or whatever you guys are planning to do? Like, how do you think those are going to run?
So I think last year what really happened, we spent a lot more time learning how to be a group leader and learning what a group leader, how to facilitate. I think this year we want to transition from this idea of there's like a specific way of being a group leader to firstly understanding what it means to be a Christian for me, how I best relate to God, how what my gifts are, and I guess like how my gifts actually play a role in the mission of the church. Mm-hmm. And first, when we first realized that, what we do as a community together is work with each other to actually bounce ideas off each other, to be able to communicate, like, this is how I feel called to serve. And I think that's what our meetings will be really focused on, rather than learning from a specific person. It's about internalizing a lot of these thoughts, having a lot of time to actually think about where we're called to serve, and then learning from each other when we actually share. So I think a lot of times last year our meetings were more listening to you talk, or and then we'd have like structured questions. And I think this year it'll be a lot more focused on sharing and learning from each other.
I looked at the list of group leaders that you guys are potentially asking, and I saw that there's quite a few like group leaders from last year that you guys are planning to ask. And I'm like, man, I hope they enjoyed their experience last year, because otherwise they're not going to say yes to this. So really what you're trying to focus on is like, I mean, it actually ties in really well with our theme, or what, not our theme, but like what our content is geared towards this year. You know, like what we want for GT20 is something along the lines of where people aren't just focused on conferences and retreats and all these things, right? Like it's not a one and done kind of thing. So much of our faith is, those are great to help get people really kick-started, I guess, into their faith, or to help as renewal points almost.
Yeah.
But I think understanding that, like, you know, if you're going to a retreat once a year, there's like 362 days in between those retreats, right? So it's during those 362 days, like, how are you going to live out your life as a Christian? And I think that's exactly what you guys are teaching to your leaders, and then I think that's going to filter down to the campers.
Yeah, and even to add to that, we're not teaching people how to be leaders. We're teaching them how. We're not even teaching. We're journeying together to become better Christians.
Nice.
And naturally, when we become better Christians, we become better leaders, and naturally better group leaders.
And I'm glad that you brought up, you know, the whole thing about we're aiming to do more than just have a one day type of thing, because we were even taking a further look at how are we going to bring this material about, realizing that we're in this journey ourselves, and we don't really know that we know enough to be teaching other people per se, because we're on the journey ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So what we realize is that we can borrow from the people who have already been on this journey, and we can borrow from the lives of the saints. So we're going to be spending a lot of time focusing on the lives of the saints, using those as illustrations and examples for us to take a look at how can we actually apply these charisms, these spiritualities into our everyday life, and maybe even shed some light on some new ways of thinking about our faith that we didn't realize.
Nice. That's awesome.
Can I just jump in
yeah.
for a second on adding to that thought, or well, what you were saying about like what we're trying to do, I think, is like more so practice our faith more in an everyday aspect. And I think as we practice our faith and gain that confidence to kind of talk to other people about our faith, we naturally become Christian leaders, right? And I think right now, or at least how we focused on this group leader team in the past, has been seeking out those with the most potential.
Yeah.
And I think that this year we want to take a different route. We kind of see everybody as in the same pool, and everybody still journeying together, wanting to continuously improve in their faith, right? And I think everybody deserves that chance to use their talents towards becoming a better Christian leader and just being a better Christian in general every day, right? And that, I think, ultimately is our main goal.
I think that's exactly it. It's like, you know, you don't want people to get caught in the trap that, like, oh, like there's these specific types of people that you want as group leaders. It's like, no, like it's exactly what you said, Christian witness. Like everyone in their own way is able to witness Christ, and in that way they're leading others to Christ, right? As long as they share that story. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think focusing on charisms, spiritualities also ties in with that, because it's not like you can stop. It's not like you can learn all there is to know about your own charism and spirituality, because I think I know there's probably a lot of people who are used to being group leaders, and in last year's team, once we've been through it all, it becomes repetitive.
Yeah.
But I mean, the beauty of journeying here is that we're always called to deeper relations with God. We're always called to do more, and as we learn more about our charisms, we continuously are called to serve in greater capacity. And I think that's the beauty, that we can invite anyone in their spiritual, no matter where they are in their spiritual life right now, whether very mature or just starting up, because there's always something to learn about where Christ is calling them. And I think these 3-4 months of us journeying together is going to shed some light no matter where they are in their spiritual life.
I think this team is headed in an amazing direction. I think this summer is going to be really great. Like, not just for you guys, but for GT20. And I guess on that note, you know, probably just a good time to plug all our other working teams. I might miss some, I hope not. So program, liturgy, music, art team, handbook, multimedia. Am I missing any? Community connections. I did miss one, but actually community connections, you're going to be seeing them a lot. So yeah, you might have seen our social media call. If you are interested in joining any of our working teams, if you're interested in joining the leadership formation team, reach out to us. What's your email?
GT20 at leadershipformation@gmail.com.
So GT20 leadershipformation@gmail.com. A long one, but you do have the entire team, so you won't forget the name. Yeah, so I guess that's the wrap for our video. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed learning about it. Like I said, I think it's a really exciting direction, and maybe you'll see us soon. So see you next time.